In a world hungry for change, nonprofit impact matters more than ever. But too often, you're asked to do more with less. Less time, fewer resources, and tools that weren't built for the way nonprofits work. Bloomerang is the giving platform built for purpose, connecting fundraising, donor, and volunteer data in one intuitive place. With smarter insights and stronger relationships, you can raise more, retain more, and inspire more generosity because your tools are built for purpose and your mission goes further. Learn more at bloomerang.com. Welcome to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast for nonprofit leaders, mission-driven creatives, and social entrepreneurs. Get ready to stop dreaming and start doing. Here, ideas become action. We prioritize purpose and profit. You ready? Let's go. You feel like summer is a bad time to fundraise if you're not sure how to fundraise over summer, or let's face it, you're kind of ready for just a summer vacation. This episode is for you. Now, I recorded this live with a group of nonprofit fundraisers, executive directors, founders. You're going to hear me engage in the chat, but I knew as I was recording this had to go on the podcast. So you're going to hear my summer fundraising forecast. Now, this works for organizations that are solo-led or founder-led nonprofits, and you're going to get a lot from it if you're a larger or more established scaling team. So are you ready to make this a profitable, successful, and restful summer? All right, let's dig into today's episode. Let's begin. So you're here for the summer fundraising forecast. June, it is summer. It's hot. School's out for us. Before we talk about summer fundraising, I want to talk about the story that many nonprofits are actually telling themselves right now. So if you hear yourself in this story, you're not wrong or bad, but I want to know if you hear yourself in the story, or maybe you hear your staffers in this story. One, donors are pulling back. People aren't giving. It's harder than ever. The fatigue is real. The economy. Is anyone feeling that? Feeling that pressure, feeling that grip, feeling that tension, or sort of receiving that? Whether it's board members, executive directors, other nonprofits saying that 100%. That is the message that we in the nonprofit sector are fed. We are fed that message all day, every day, and it's just like compounding. Meanwhile, Americans gave $592.5 billion with a B to charity last year. $592 billion. That was a record year. That wasn't 5 years ago. That wasn't like COVID. No, that was last year. In the economy we were in last year, in the tumultuous times we were in last year, in the non-perfect moments, that still happens. So we know that the money is moving. The question isn't whether or not generosity exists. The question for you and your organization is whether or not you have a strategy to capture more of it. That is your opportunity, and that is the opportunity that so many organizations are missing out on right now. And that's what we're going to dig into today. So what is your number one fundraising focus? So this can be a financial goal. This could be a strategy. This could be a hope or a dream or a wish. This could be something that is an initiative that has been dropped down to you, a voluntold. I know we get those sometimes. Okay, 30 more monthly donors. Love it. Recapturing one-time donors. So meaning like maybe re-engaging those lapsed donors. Capital campaign, 1 million more. Have quite a few clients in capital campaigns right now. Beautiful. Funds to cover organizational structure. Say more, Sammy. Libby says, for me, major gifts in the first year. It's building my caseload and engaging major donors one-on-one. Awesome. Very smart. Very smart. I like to think about a goal, whether it's $100,000 or $1 million or $50,000. And it's like, I want you to do both. I want you to take chunks of that goal out from major donor gifts. And then I want you also to get small and mid-sized gifts as well. Sammy says, yes, most grants want to cover projects. We need to cover insurance, legal fees, salary, et cetera. Can we just give like an amen or a yes in the chat? Like overhead is programs. The program doesn't exist without the people to buy the printer toner, to welcome the clients to the program, to answer the emails. And yet that's the catch-22 with grants. So anytime you come to my calls, I don't teach anything about grants because grants are restricted dollars. Grants are time that is not guaranteed. And that application time that you never get back, for which you may not get awarded. And I remember this is like such a micro version of this, but my child's preschool is a little co-op many, many years ago. And I remember volunteering there. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys have a Vitamix blender. Like, that's a nice blender. That's like a $500 blender at least, right? And the person, the director there said to me, we got it through a grant, but no one's here to make the smoothies. No one's here to clean up the cups. It's just collecting dust. And it's like metaphorical, like, we got this $500 thing. We have a dishwasher that doesn't work. We have a table and chairs that need new legs or whatever it is. We have playground equipment we need, but we got $500 blender instead. So a lot of nonprofit leaders are bracing for a tough year, and everyone on this call doesn't have to. You do not have to brace for a tough year. You do not have to brace for a plateau year, a break-even year. I was pulling some client data yesterday. This is not a lie. This is the truth. One of my clients has grown 56% in online revenue year over year. Their monthly donors are up 33% year over year. Their email open rates are 45%. They are on track to cross $1 million in operating revenue for the first time ever. And they are mostly I feel very comfortable saying over 90% funded by individual donations. This is not from grants. This is not from foundations. This is the other one I see. Well, we have one wealthy donor that donates $500,000 a year. No, this is from a mix of small, mid, and major level donors. And this client is not a unicorn. I love them, and they're not a unicorn. They are not special in an outlier. Our clients are seeing growth year over year over year. So that's what we're going to dig into, that pattern today. But what do they do? I bet they do something that people want to fund. What do you think that they do? What cause area is easy to fund? Cancer, food insecurity, animals. I was waiting for the animals. It's always animals. The latest issue, something like children's program kids. Ready for this? Okay. No kids, no animals. It's not that. And here's the other thing, and I think will break everyone's brain a little bit. They're spread all over. They are not community-based. There is no annual event. All of their donors are across the country. Many of their donors have never been for a program tour. Many of their donors have never stepped foot on the property in the communities for which they're serving. I'm going to leave it there and we're going to keep going. So we all have our own, but it's easier over here. I could just spend I'm looking at I have a wall here of my clients, and I could just pick out other ones that no matter what cause area you choose, I could find one where our clients' numbers are up in animal welfare, not in animal welfare. In youth empowerment, not in youth empowerment. So it's not your cause area, it is your strategy. Okay. All right. So that being said, we have clients who are seeing growth, not because the conditions are perfect, not because suddenly donors became more generous, not because they bought some sort of acquisition list. We're all sold, right? Because they stopped waiting for the environment to improve and started building systems to create growth anyway. This is what we've got. Sometimes it's like, well, this is what we got. Now what? So they're building better campaigns, better emails, more recurring revenue, more donor momentum, more visibility with what we've got. We don't know what we've got next year. We don't know what we got the rest of the year. Literally, who knows? But we have to have a fundraising strategy that is nimble enough to navigate, whether it's political, whether it's economics, whether it's some sort of natural disaster. I think about how long ago was the Hawaii fires, right? And suddenly people were donating to that. How long ago were the fires on the West Coast in California? People were donating to that. So we have to have a bulletproof strategy for fundraising, even when emergent needs pop up, and you can. So let's start with what is underneath that strategy. These are the areas that I want you to focus on. So number one, email still wins. When organizations tell me email doesn't work, I always say, forward me your last 3 emails. Foundationally, this is the backbone to raising money on your laptop. Period, full stop. Not grants, not galas, not auctions, not Mackenzie Scott. Email is foundational for digital fundraising, for online fundraising, for any fundraising. The channel works. The execution is usually the root problem, because 33% of donors say email is what inspires them to give the most. Email drove 16% of online nonprofit revenue last year. We know that personalized emails outperform generic ones, and yet organizations are still struggling with email. I would also love to know, how often are you sending emails? And then you could even say, we send emails once a month, and we actively fundraise an email, what? And then you tell me that frequency. Oh my God, Tracy says, I started an easy email campaign June 1st. I received $12,000 as of today. Tracy's in my easy emails, of course. That's amazing. Tracy, we're not unicorns, right? We're just doing the work. I want to give you this analogy. When you're saying email doesn't work for us, we've tried fundraising through email, my favorite. Our donors don't like email. That's always when I hear anything in that, it doesn't work, right? It is like saying this recipe just doesn't work. But then you look closer, you skipped half the ingredients. You were subbing out like banana instead of egg. And what are you doing? Just like I do when I bake, I open the oven like 4 different times. I'm like, is it doing anything? That is not following the recipe, right? So if you haven't unlocked email as foundationally the backbone to your fundraising engine, huge opportunity, huge opportunity. You can buy your time back, right? That channel isn't broken. It's something you need to iterate. And I just gave a talk about this. It's going to be a little uncomfortable. Whatever homeostasis is right now for you, whether you send emails monthly, quarterly, weekly, biweekly, I don't care. You're going to need to do 2 things. You'll need to change how often you send email, and you need to change the content within the email, because no one here, including myself, including you, is excited about getting an email that says make a difference. We need your help, right? We all send those emails. We all read those emails. That's not the emails that are converting. Monthly giving. I want to know if monthly giving is something you're like, yes, sustainable income. I want that. And how many recurring donors, monthly donors you have right now. I only have 2. We have 1, 50, 15, 15. So our clients are doing a lot with monthly giving. Monthly giving now represents 31% of online revenue. And recurring donors are dream donors. And I'll tell you why. The average one-time donor, so I make a gift to your nonprofit right now, it depends on you and your organization, but it tends to be that 8 out of 10 donors give one time. So we're one and done donors. That is not a leaky bucket. That's a bucket with a lot of holes in it. That bucket is like dripping. And so you feel like you're in a constant state of fundraising because of that one-time gift retention issue. Whereas monthly donors are amazing. They stay on, they have a lifetime span rather of 8 years. So instead of one and done, it's 8 years. So it's really, really a strong strategy that a lot of people are talking about. The average recurring donor gives significantly more over time as well. But most organizations are missing a few things when it comes to monthly donors. Monthly giving isn't growing because donors suddenly woke up and said, I'm going to start giving monthly. It started becoming part of our vernacular, and it started becoming part of their vernacular and their habit and their actions because nonprofits started asking and started using tech tools that have good, strong, recurring giving options. So it's not me mailing a paper check, right? It's me and my Spotify subscription where I forget I have it, my Netflix subscription, right? It just exists in the background. So if you want more monthly donors, you have to not only ask for more monthly donors, but you have to create a campaign that brings them in. And that's the third piece. We're going to talk about campaigns a lot today. That's the big one. If you're like, Christina, I have the donation tool. It accepts monthly gifts. It's cool. And we still have 3 monthly donors. It's because you're not running what I've created. I call them sprint campaigns. You're not doing sprint campaigns for monthly giving. And you need to, I always picture a 4-burner stove. Right now, monthly giving, really, y'all have like 8 burners on your stove, but monthly giving is in the back burner. And at certain times throughout the year, I want you to bring it to the front burner, the big pot, right? And then we're going to get it to a boil and we're going to push it back. That's how I treat all fundraising, is campaign style. They have a start and a stop date. All right, third point I want to make today. Community-powered fundraising is growing. So the organizations that are seeing the fastest growth aren't fundraising alone anymore. Most people come to me and they are very much in solo fundraising mode. And what that looks like is either you are literally a one-person show, right? Or you are solely responsible for fundraising in your staff, in your org. And there are people who say they'll help, board members who don't really help. It's really kind of all on you. And regardless of where you are, if you're a solo operator or a team, it doesn't matter. You need to start activating the people in and around your organization. So supporters, those volunteers, those board members, partners, and advocates. They help spread the message. That's a huge part of what I teach inside one of my programs where I teach on the social street team method, where we actually partner with influencers and ambassadors. You can do this even without going to like giant influencers. You can go to people to be audience amplifiers who are already inside your organization, because one person fundraising alone always hits a ceiling. It's a ceiling in time. It's a ceiling in bandwidth, right? It's a ceiling. Community-powered fundraising scales differently. Now let's get into short campaigns versus endless campaigns. When I say the word campaign, Do you know what I mean? What does that look like for you? And also, let's do a quick check-in on how often are you fundraising right now? Like, how many fundraisers do you have throughout the year? And to give you like a little bit of a hint, typically what I hear is like, well, we do year end, or we have our spring event, or we have our signature fall gala. Christine says 10. Kinetta said 3 to 4. Matt says once a quarter. Great. 2 to 3. We have 2 major events and a year end push. Dawn, I would say that's really close to what I typically see. Jennifer says 2 in-person events and then year end, and then 2 to 3 this year, 1 event. Very, very common. So when I say campaigns, what I do mean, and I saw somebody say a specific message. Yes. One of the things that I think gets lost in translation sometimes is this idea of fundraising. Your donors don't want you to constantly be in a state of fundraising. We don't want you to always be asking us, right? And we also know that you don't want you to always be in a constant state of fundraising. But when the need is always there, that ends up kind of being the output. It's in your monthly newsletter. It's in your check-ins. It's in this and that. It's very like kind of a soft make a gift. And then at certain points, it's a little more 911. But it's not a true campaign strategy where there are key points throughout the year where you are fundraising. You know you're fundraising, and your audience, your subscribers of donors and non-donors know you're fundraising. Like I always tell my clients, I should know. I should be like, oh, they're fundraising right now, right? Anyone who is on an email list for any brand that runs a sale, you're like, oh.
Quick pause before we jump back in. We just hit a huge milestone on the podcast. 200 episodes of fundraising, messaging, psychology, leadership, growing your impact without burning out. If you found this show helpful to write the next email, make the next ask, rethink a campaign, or just keep going when fundraising felt heavy, would you leave me a quick rating and review? It helps more nonprofit listeners find the show, and it tells me what's landing with you. I read every review, and I'm so grateful you're here. All right, back to the episode.
The sale ends on Monday. They have made that clear. It should be similar to that. And I want to offer that takes a lot of guts, because to make it clear to your audience that, oh, they're fundraising right now, that means you have to increase your volume. That takes courage. That takes being willing to hear, Dan on the board being like, that's kind of a lot. And you're like, we would like a different result this year, Dan. So we're taking different action. So short campaigns beat these endless sort of fundraisers that are soft, but in perpetuity. So instead, sprint campaigns are short. They can be for a few days. They can be for a few weeks, but they are not months and months and months long. They are not a capital campaign. They have a clear goal, a clear ask, a clear why. Why should the donor donate now? Can I just wait? Can I just give on Giving Tuesday? You should be able to answer that question. If you don't, this is what we teach inside my programs. It should have a high converting donation page. This is key. This is why I built the sprint method. The sprint method, we go into this in great detail of what your donation page should look like, because your donation page can either have higher conversions for people who are thinking about donating or completely kill it. The words, everything on the page, all the way down to the tool you're using, but the words, the images, everything that can either get you across the finish line to making the gift or not. That's the formula. You need these short bursts. We sprint. It is not a marathon. I don't want you to be in a marathon of constantly fundraising. So Christine was the one that said she does like 10 fundraisers a year. That's more than I normally hear. Now she's saying she's exhausted. No wonder. She says they run from 3 to 4 weeks, raffles, auctions, etc. Are we exhausted for Christine? I'm exhausted for her. Everything I'm teaching you about sprint and about these short bursts of campaigns, no one gets a prize at the end. Donors don't want a prize. We don't need a thing. We do not need a goodie bag for donating. We don't need a t-shirt. We don't need an auction item. We don't need a raffle prize. And also for you, Christine, and all the other organizations doing this, it is such an upfront lift. All that time you're taking, hey, would you want to donate something to our upcoming auction? Hey, have you bought a raffle ticket? You could be going to book major donor meetings. You could be going to cultivate those mid-level donors to upgrade. But you don't have time to do that because you can only do so much when you have to solicit for all these auction items. Jen says, completely agree. I want them/us to put the money towards a cause. I need tote bags. I don't need a pen. I don't need a pen. I don't need a thing. I don't want a thing. I want you to help the cause I care about. That's what I want you to do. And that's a really big shift when you're in a state of this grassroots auction raffle, whatever your version is, prize kind of thing to shift into. But I want to say, regardless of cause area, we have organizations who are local. We have domestic violence shelters. We have youth empowerment. We have arts, theaters, international NGOs, health, wellness, animal rescues, environment, policy. This works for all of them. None of them are giving out swag. You know what I mean? And they're raising $10, $20, $30,000 in these types of fundraisers. Again, not over the course of months, in the course of a week, 2 weeks, from their laptop. You could do this from a Starbucks. These are the essential pieces. Let's talk about frequency. So the belief is fundraising is something we fit around the real work. Somebody said this to me, I don't have time to be fundraising. You want me to do that? That's kind of a lot. She was kind of pushing back. You want me to once a quarter is kind of a lot. I don't remember what I was telling her on frequency. Whatever she was doing, I was like, I want you to do more. If you're doing twice a year, double it. If you're doing 4 a year, add 2 more. She was like, that's kind of a lot. And I'm like, fundraising shouldn't be something you fit into this work. Fundraising is the thing that makes this work possible. You with me? It doesn't exist without the funding. And I am one of the most impatient people you'll meet. And so a wait list is not something I want your organization to have. I don't want you to turn down a new litter of kittens because your shelter's maxed out. I don't want you to turn away a mom that has nowhere else to go and is leaving an abusive relationship because you just don't have the funding to add that next space, right? That's the piece. So fundraising is number one. Everything else comes after fundraising. Why are you prioritizing anything else in front of that? Fundraising is also the thing that you get to hire support. I love hiring admin support. I love it when my clients hire a VIA. I love it when they hire a programs lead. Funding is the thing that does that. Yeah, Barb says, who's going to do all the work? You're probably speaking, Barb, like I'm in programs too. And that's okay. That's okay. What I'm saying is, instead of saying to me, Christina, I don't have time to do fundraising, I'm running the thing. You have to look at, I'm hitting a ceiling on how much I can fulfill programmatically because I have a funding problem. So I have to stop going over here and putting out fires until I put out the big fire and actually bring in funding first. That's what I'm saying. We got to start eating the frog. And when somebody says to me, I'm full-time at my organization where we raise less than $100,000 a year and I don't have time to fundraise, I'm like, let me see your schedule. So we got to start eating frogs a lot more often because there's some passiveness happening here. And I want you to develop the skill of fundraising more often, asking more often, and you will see, eat the frog. Eat the frog is a saying. It's like, do the hard thing in the morning. Do the hard thing first. And if for you asking, calling a donor, following up with a donor, sending another email, following up with the person on your donor match, those are all the things that we tell ourselves I don't have time to do. I know this because I work with everyone like you on this call. This is what I hear. Those actually don't take a lot of time. A phone call can take 90 seconds. A phone call is usually a voicemail. An email can take less than 5 minutes to write. Is it true that people donate to what you do in the program? Yeah. You sit down with a donor and you say, donor, I see that you care about this after school tutoring program, right? You care about that. And donors like 100%. You're like, well, we have to pay our tutors. Otherwise the program doesn't exist, right? We'll close down the program. If your donation only goes towards books and snacks for the teenagers, very quickly donors are like, well, no, I want really strong tutors here. That we tell ourselves, this is more of just the lie. We tell ourselves donors don't want to pay for this. We want to pay for this. I want to pay for, the shelter to have volunteers to make sure the kittens are bottle fed and the crates are cleaned. I don't just want to pay for the toys, right? We have to stop separating it. I want to give you this gas tank analogy. So it doesn't matter how strong your programs are, how beautiful your mission is, how talented your team is, how awesome your board is. Nothing moves without the fuel. The fundraising is the gas. So you can't focus. You can't say, well, we focused on the vehicle this year. We'll worry about the gas later, right? We're focusing on the program, the service this year. But this is what nonprofits do. And I would argue you're doing this for a few reasons. You're doing that because that's what your heart is, especially my founders, especially my executive directors, right? Makes sense, right? But we've got to gas up the tank, right? And also I would argue the other reason is like this thing over here is harder in a it's stretching way. Fundraising is a muscle. No one works out twice a year and expects to get strong. Nobody sends 2 emails and expects to get engagement. Yet this is what organizations are doing. We're running 2 campaigns, maybe 3 campaigns and expecting revenue to increase magically, but it's not, right? So muscles respond to frequency, repetition, consistency, not perfection. Let's talk about these campaigns and what they can do. They build pipelines. And this is huge. This is a huge result of running more shorter fundraising campaigns, more sprint campaigns. You might think campaigns only raise money. That is like the thing we want. Yes, I want you to hit your financial goal, but campaigns also create the following: new donors, reactivated donors, meaning lapsed donors, monthly donors, major gift prospects. We've all had the campaign, or most of us have, where you're like, they were a $25 donor and they just gave $1,000. They like poke their head up. They surprise you with an amount. Future volunteers, future advocates. A campaign isn't just a revenue event, it's a pipeline building event. So when you stop fundraising for long stretches, 3, 4, 6 months, you're not protecting your pipeline because yes, we can squeeze more juice from the people inside your donor base. Yes, that's one initiative. But we also need to be bringing more people in your funnel. You with me? We need to bring people in. I would love to know what your donor acquisition strategy is. Libby says, I think nonprofits are embarrassed about asking for overhead. The issue is we don't connect the fact that overhead keeps us open in a positive and excited message for donors. I'm going to even say we need to stop calling it overhead. I just think your gift towards my after school tutoring program keeps everything going. It's all in one. Why are we separating it? Why are we doing this? I think Charity Water has done a lot of things right. If I could take one thing and retool it, and I would even say, I've heard them kind of talk about this a little, it's the separation of overhead I wish that they didn't have. We do not have to have that. None of my clients have that. And none of my clients who are winning at this, who are having success at this, are having overhead problems with donors. Okay. All right. So as the donor acquisition strategy, here's what I'm hearing. Don't have one. Asking more, increased our mailing list. But this year we increased our mailing list, but didn't work. Do you mean direct mail or email, Barb? I don't have one. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Totally fine. Here's what I hear sometimes too. Board member intros, right? We are all like, board, give us a warm intro. Acquisition lists, right? Which Barb touched on with direct mail. Let me buy a list, right? Social media. I hear this a lot. Well, we're on social media. And then I say, how much funding is coming in through social media? Well, none. Okay. What are we doing? I don't know. Or I'll hear like, I'll get our gala, our signature event, whatever that is, that kind of brings in people. So if you're focusing on maybe a signature event and then just your year-end fundraising or a Giving Tuesday, those are like 2 months, just 2 moments trying to fill 12 months of growth. So donors do enter through those moments. Yes. And campaigns create those moments. So campaigns bring in more people, more leads for you. And if you're thinking, Christina, that's a lot of fundraising, compared to what? Compared to being stuck at the same revenue level year after year after year, compared to hoping the grant comes through, that you're already like, I look at a grant application, I'll have to close out of overwhelm. You guys are going deep on these grant applications and they're totally overwhelming. Compared to cutting programs, fundraising is the activity that creates every other possibility for your organization. How does a campaign bring in a lead? A campaign brings in a lead because new donors come in through our sprint campaigns. So for example, in the Purpose and Profit Club, which is more of my advanced coaching program, I'm thinking about one of my clients and she did a campaign. So we use this model in both, and she brought in like 115, if my memory serves me, new donors in a 7-day campaign. Okay. And of that profile, it was really great. 22 were re-engaged lapsed donors. She brought back 22 lapsed donors. She brought then another chunk. I'm not going to get my numbers right here. Something like 50 or 60 were active donors, current donors. And then the last chunk, to make the math, so 30, something like that, were new donors. So that's how it brings in a lead. And of those new donors, you start to notice something. Did they come in through a friend? Did they come in through a peer fundraiser? Did they come in through a board member? Did they come in because they're just, saw, inspired by our cause, connected to our cause through a partner? Or the other thing, you're like, well, this person just went from, again, $25 to $700. I'm going to invite them to coffee. So it's bringing in leads in a different way. You start to know more about them. So I want to hit some myths, which is if I fundraise now, it will hurt year end. This is something I actually was asked recently. Like, will this hurt my fall fundraiser or my year end fundraiser if I do something now over the summer? No. Giving is a habit. Donors who give multiple times a year actually have a higher lifetime value. And 2 things happen when you follow our email and our campaign strategy, regardless of even if the donor email or a donor donates, they actually are getting value from your emails. You're building trust, you're building connection, you are staying top of mind for them. Even if they don't donate, you're seeding them for a stronger year end. You with me? They're like more connected. If you're thinking summer is the wrong time to ask, there is no wrong time to ask. In fact, summer, I find there's less quote unquote competition. I don't love the word competition, but there's just less action, we'll say. There's less fundraising. We know November and December is Super Bowl season for us, and it's like everyone's fundraising. Summer is very blue ocean. It's wide open opportunity for fundraising. Another client said to me, yeah, but like, should we do this because it's like back to school time? And I was like, and then it was so funny. She like answered her own question. She was like, never mind. It's fine. We're doing it. So it's like, there is no, we just go, right? We just go. If you're thinking, I deserve a break, I want to travel, it's my summer too, I won't need time off, like 100%, yes, take time off, travel, rest. You can do both. You take the time off, then you do a sprint campaign that is short, focused, email first, laptop based. You can take a vacation and still run a campaign. We have clients who will run a campaign, especially I'm thinking of a few who do monthly giving campaigns while they're on vacation. They're just scheduled out ahead of time. Now, that's something you would do like after your first sprint. You're going to figure it out first. Like you want to have one under your belt, but it is something you absolutely can go on vacation, take time off over the summer, and then do a sprint when you get back. We have quite a few people who will join my program, the Sprint Method, and within a week have their campaign live. So there isn't a lot of time. You're not pouring over lots of things to make a sprint happen. If you're thinking donors are fatigued, the generosity crisis, Christina, there is not a generosity crisis. There is a messaging crisis. I told you Americans gave $592 billion last year. That was a record. Our clients are growing year over year. I just did another client interview for the podcast. I think she said she was up total revenue, total donations over 35% last year, right? And before that, 35% and then had doubled. I'm inverting the numbers. Growth year, growth year, growth year. I love her, not a unicorn though, right? This is what's possible when you get off this sort of old school fundraising hamster wheel. Now, donors are not tired of giving. I wrote in my notes, they're tired of bad asks, meaning sort of the sterile, boring, make a difference. I would also argue they're not even tired of bad asks. They're not seeing your bad asks. You're not on their radar. If you're not using repetition enough, if you're not in front of them enough, they've completely missed you. Like if you've ever missed a concert, a performance, an arts show, like something you wanted to see and somebody told you about it later and you're like, how did I miss that? They came through town and you're like mad about it, right? You're that. You're like, why didn't anyone tell me anything? That's what you're doing right now when you're not running campaigns where you're like really bringing yourself up to the center. If you're thinking grants, galas, signature event, auction is going to carry us, I want you to think about this. This is from candid.org. They do beautiful research. They said that 60% of nonprofits get 0.4% of grant money. 60% of nonprofits are fighting for a slice of the pie that is 0.4%. If I said to you, I want you to spend most of your week and you have a 0.4% of this being a high ROI activity, you would be like, I am not doing that. And this is because they call it the invisible majority. They say that very small nonprofits below $50,000 make up 60% of US nonprofits, yet they received 0.4% of foundation grant funding. Only 22% of very small nonprofits even received one foundation grant, compared to 72% of larger nonprofits. Said in very layman's terms, the big nonprofits are getting the big grant funding. So if you are not a $5 million plus nonprofit, if you do not have established funder relationships, not a strong use of your time, not right now. I'm not anti-grant. I'm anti-spending a lot of time on these very small ROI activities. Here's the other thing. Individual donors give 3 times more to nonprofits than grants. And that money is unrestricted. Remember, we talked about overhead. So next 90 days, emerging organizations, I want you to focus on running one sprint campaign this summer. Get that under your belt. Get your reps in. Growing organizations, people who are like, I kind of know what you're talking about. This isn't brand new to me. I get the sense of it. I want you to run a sprint campaign. I also want you to start reactivating lapsed donors, once warm donors. Very strong opportunity. Do not wait until September for this. Scaling organizations, start layering in your social street team. This is your group of audience amplifiers. This is where you're stealing other audiences. This is a huge lead generation pool for you. So getting in front of thought leaders, ambassadors, digital partners, influencers online. You're getting that audience activation here. You're building that audience now over summer, not when you need it in the fall and winter. You do not need a bigger team, bigger budget for this. You do need a better system. So fall fundraising is seeded now. I want you to think about like, I'm planting seeds that will bloom in the fall, right? I'm not going to see them. I'm planting them right now. Now with sprints, you will see a pop because you will see funding come in over the summer, but also you're seeding fall with this. If you are listening to this and you're thinking we need a better fundraising system, I do want to take some time and talk about two different ways we can work together. Most of you belong in the sprint method. This is my fundraising program for organizations who want that repeatable campaign system. I teach you the entire process. It has videos, it has templates, it has tools, it has the trusted system that I created that our clients are going through and raising thousands and thousands, 5 figures in every fundraiser when they used to raise $500. When they used to raise nothing. When they used to raise $1,500, now they raise $15,000. So you'll learn what campaigns to run, how to run them, how long they should last, how to structure them, how to raise unrestricted revenue, how to go beyond that solo fundraising mode, how to get your board to help, how to activate community support around your mission. You'll receive monthly coaching. We coach as a group, and you have access to a community of amazing nonprofit leaders and fundraisers and founders. Then I want to share the Purpose and Profit Club. The Purpose and Profit Club is for somebody, a team perhaps, or a solo person who doesn't need a program. They need a strategist. They need somebody who's like in it with them. So you want to work with me on campaigns, major donors, monthly giving, donor retention. You're ready to really think about the entire 360 degrees, your social street team growth. Easy Emails is included already in that program. The club isn't more content, it's proximity. I know your goals. I know your team. I know your campaigns. It is built to raise another $100,000 or more inside your organization. And it's very high touch. You get a lot of support. We meet about 3 to 4 times a month. And then we have high touch trainings as well. Now, after listening to this episode, you may be like, okay, tell me more. How do I get the whole sprint system? Or I'm ready for more high touch support from me and my team. And I don't want to wait for fall. I'm ready to do this now. And I'm ready for the system and the support and the tools and the proven everything right now. Then the next step you want to take is I want you to go apply. You're going to click the link to apply for my programs. And that's where I can learn more about your organization and guide you to the next best step. You can go to our show notes and click there, or you can go to splendidatl.com/start, and you're going to see a button to apply. That is your next step. So don't sleep on summer. Don't push it out till fall. Take the vacation, take the time off, and prime your audience. Get some campaigns under your belt now. Your future self will thank you. I'll see you in the next episode. Hey, high achiever. I know your sights are set on ambitious, world-changing goals. In the Purpose and Profit Club group coaching program, you can get the support, motivation, and strategy to accelerate your impact. I like to say it's where the inner work meets big impact and big funding. Go to splendidcourses.com/waitlist, and you will be first to be notified when we open up doors, and you'll get special bonuses when you join our waitlist. See you inside.